All right, coming in with that commie music.
You guys are gonna get us in trouble. Come on.
Okay, look, we just had Senator Gravel on. Remember, back in the early days, he was a commie hunter. So watch yourselves, okay? So, anyways, you want to do Dave Rubin before Karl Marx?
Yeah, I can't. I just can't help it. I can't help it.
Well, look, it's a postgame filled with deep thinkers.
Okay, so look, these YouTube videos, they keep popping up, and this one was just sent to me. It's a compilation video that someone made of Dave Rubin. And I'm not gonna say anything more, I just want you to watch it and enjoy. Take a look.
I have to say that my brain is still in recovery mode from taking in so many high-level important ideas. When you're playing games, right? And it really is about you figuring out how to do all this stuff. And that to me sort of shows why the media, and especially the leftist media, hates games now, or hates gamers. They don't like people who solve problems. Is this a bridge too far, or am I onto something?
I don't know, I haven't really thought, I have to think about it, I haven't really thought about it.
I'm pretty sure though that if the USPS stopped, it didn't exist anymore, you'd still get chickens delivered, and Amazon could probably do it even more effectively. That's my point. It's like, I'm not saying you can eliminate its farm government to tell you how to do all these things and all the regulations that you gotta have your electric thing this far from this and like all that.
The regulations like that for construction are important though. You do have to make sure that people don't do stupid shit.
But
make sure you don't have a power line that's near a water line. There's a lot of.
But I would put most of that on the builders though. They want to build things that are good. Now I get.
Oh, that's not true.
I haven't really thought about it.
I think there's something there. Gamers want to get shit done. Whatever world you're in, whether you're playing a sports game or an adventure game or an RPG or whatever, you're building something, you're accomplishing something. You may have to have teammates that'll do it. You don't want people to help you do everything and cheat for you.
It's 3 million executive branch employees versus Trump, okay? Yeah. Trump's role is
that right? That's not right. There's 3 billion?
3 million executive. I think
silly to even, unfortunately, to have to talk about these little nonsensical things. Because I like talking about ideas, not about people. I never asked for more money. You do it nothing. It's kind of pathetic, really. I'm not funded by the Koch brothers. I mean, I wish I was funded by the Koch brothers. That would be nice. I wouldn't be wearing H&M under it. I mean, it's like, do you know people on the right who are tolerant of people who are for gay marriage and who are pro-choice? I actually do, plenty of them, including several people who I've had on this show.
They hate Dave Rubin because he's a gay man with the wrong opinion. Dave Rubin is gay? No! He got a husband? I did not know. I was in his presence. I didn't know. I shook his hand. I sat down with him. Why did y'all tell me before I went on his show? Oh, Stephen, why would you send me this?
Holy Jesus, people showed up. I'll be damned. How you doing? Yes, how are you? We were a little nervous because this is above ground and a lot of times gay people only do things in groups below ground. But I'm glad you're all here. This is very exciting. Hot Gay Comics live for television by show of hands.
You know what might be super funny actually is if we watch the stand-up that Dave Rubin did. But it'd be so awkward. Like, oh God. Oh.
And that was when he wasn't like, he hadn't sold out for like right-wing money, you know?
Does he still do stand-up? Oh,
I think he just started doing it again.
Oh, please tell me yes. Oh, we gotta see that.
Yeah.
The depths of how unfunny that would be.
Well, he does opening stand-up for Jordan Peterson's tour. Like,
oh my God. So like, is there, and everybody, let's make women marry us, right? Forced monogamy.
Anyway.
And I see, it'd be interesting to have Dave Rubin talk to Jordan Peterson and ask him a question about whether there should be forced monogamy for gay Americans as well. I'd be curious to hear what Professor Peterson has to say about that.
Well, Professor Peterson recently got into a debate with, I forget his exact name, Zizek. Anyway, someone who was basically defending Marxist ideology, right? And so it was incredible to watch. It's really hard to explain because it was a long debate, and Jordan Peterson got his ass handed to him.
Yeah, I don't find any of these people interesting. I mean, the only thing I've ever seen of Jordan Peterson is complete clownishness. I mean, I'm done with him. The minute I saw forced monogamy, I was done with him.
Yes. So
why are we still having a conversation about this clown?
Look, he calls for socially enforced monogamy because he thinks that it creates a dangerous society if attractive and desirable men get all the women and then the undesirable men don't get any women. Then they become violent.
I'm not having this conversation.
I know. I'm just like, but I just want to outline what he means when he says it, because once you understand the details, it's even crazier.
I mean, if you're his acolyte and you or his followers, aren't you kind of raising your hand saying, I'm unattractive, and if this guy doesn't force women to have sex with me, I'm never gonna get laid?
100%.
That's so embarrassing. That's like the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard.
And, yeah.
Like Steve O would say, I really wish you hadn't told me that.
And anyway. Again, like he is this, I'm all for the free market and this and that. And then if you critique him at all on his political commentary, be like, I don't do political commentary. That's not what I do.
Jordan Peterson says that?
Yeah.
I haven't bothered watching them at all, okay? Because of course you do political commentary. That's
all the time.
That's the whole point.
So
what do? Put commentary on plumbing?
And it's so
on
interesting.
Dentistry?
It's so interesting because on one hand, he argues like for free market capitalism and let the market decide, yada. But when it comes to people's personal lives, no, we need to do redistribution of women. Because if we don't, things will get violent.
I know.
So stupid.
So
okay.
Rogan even busted him on that. That's the one thing I did see.
Yeah.
And does it get any funnier than Dave Rubin saying that he has to rest his mind to take in
my brain is still in recovery mode from thinking about all these high level important ideas.
Oh, come on. That's so sad.
Okay.
Anyway, look guys, if you're new to this drama and you're saying, God, you guys gotta stop pummeling this poor kid. I mean, he's obviously not that bright and it's getting a little mean, right? No, you missed the backstory of how
2 years straight, he badmouthed us.
Not just badmouthed, like
lied about us.
Unbelievable lie after unbelievable lie.
And we just kept quiet, like let it go, let it go, let it go. And you guys know me, you know me. Like that's a difficult thing for me to do.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
You know you're winning an argument when you start feeling bad for the other side. Anyway.
All right, let's talk about Karl Marx.
Let's talk about Karl Marx.
So on Sunday, I was like, because a lot of the reading I do is reading I have to do, right? Like if for the show and if I read a book, it's because I think it's gonna help me with the show, like that kind of stuff. So I just decided on Sunday, I'm a curious person and sometimes I just wanna read for the sake of like, my curiosity, so I decided I want to know more about Karl Marx as a person. Like who was he as a person?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I have not had a chance to read that, so I'm super curious.
Yeah. So first of all,
can I just say, sorry to interrupt. Like when Wendy and I started super duper randomly watching that series, a BBC series, I think about Sigmund Freud's life. I found out so many trippy things about Freud that I had no idea of, and that's where I picked up the great pronunciation of controversy.
That's right.
And it turns out there was a lot of controversy around Freud. Part of the reason he was so popular is because he'd give his patients cocaine.
Oh, awesome.
So he was.
Not that I've never even tried cocaine. I have no interest in it, but it's just fun. It's fun to learn those things.
It gets better / way worse. Anyway, and so of course they're getting addicted to the cocaine. He's the original Sackler family, right? He's like slinging cocaine, and everybody's like, Freud, he's got this shit figured out, man. I feel great afterwards, right? So psychoanalysis, my ass, okay? Anyway, and then I think he used to masturbate his female clients.
Yeah. Because So the women would like come in like super stressed out and stuff, and they would accuse the women of hysteria.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so then he would like diddle them with like, I think a vibrator.
Okay.
Like the vibrator of those times. I don't know what that was
He was the
like.
original Sackler family and the original Joe Biden. Oh no, that's wrong.
Come on, no,
that's wrong.
That's not okay.
That's
not
wrong.
Okay. That's not
wrong.
okay.
Okay.
Because of course Biden's never done anything like that we know about.
I know. And presumably but I don't. Anyway, I don't want to get into the gory details of that, but
I just find it. I find
like,
it so
did he
hilarious.
really use vibrators? Because they didn't show that in the BBC. Because if he did, I mean, can you imagine? They're
Well,
like,
I know.
the
I don't.
esteemed Dr. Freud. He's like, okay, now you're gonna want to smoke. You're gonna want to sniff this thing, and then.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know if Freud was the first to use the vibrators. I know that at some point in history, doctors would use vibrators on women because they were suffering from hysteria. But in reality, they were just
Wouldn't
salty.
that make them more hysterical?
No, it probably relaxed them and made them super happy and like.
And they probably never got that at home, so they're like,
Exactly,
I got to go to Dr. Freud.
Yeah.
No, Dr. Freud's got this shit on lockdown. Okay.
Yeah, you think that they had conversations with their husbands back in the day about like,
vibrators?
Here's how you can pleasure me and like,
Yeah, that shit wasn't happening.
No, good for Freud.
Well, yeah, I'll leave it.
I mean,
we don't know the context enough, but I mean, people were happy with him. He got famous. Okay, all right. So Marx.
Okay, so I found out that he was a very irritable and cantankerous person. And part of the reason why.
That's why I started Marxism. I'll show those rich sons of bitches.
No.
Okay.
Well, and that's the thing. His family, his parents were part of the bourgeois. Or they were bourgeois. Like and I have more information on that in just a second. But first, there is some suspicion that he was as irritable as he was because he was suffering from all sorts of illnesses, right? That went untreated and undiagnosed. And he unfortunately had drinking and eating habits that further exacerbated his health conditions, which made him even grumpier.
So if he was that irritable, maybe you should have gone to Dr. Freud.
Gross.
It's like, wait, hold, I got something for you, brother. First of all, take a sniff of this.
I immediately thought of vibrators.
Well, I don't know what Carl was into.
You're immediately gonna think of anyway. All right, so.
I thought he was just cantankerous like Dave Kohler for no reason. So, but if he's sick, okay.
Yeah, he had illnesses. So again, there's a theory that part of the reason why he was always like irritable is because he felt like crap all the time.
I'm gonna keep on interjecting apparently. Okay.
Oh, really? Shocker.
Yeah. So it reminds me of David Thoreau a little bit, and I like Thoreau a lot, and I love the Transcendentalist, and Ralph Waldo Emerson was a badass, but Thoreau is like on Walden Pond or whatever, and he's in the woods and he's living a Spartan lifestyle and coming up with philosophy. Then you find out it's his dad's backyard. Okay, it's so funny to me.
Yeah,
his dad was rich, and he had gotten rich because he made a number 2 pencils. Okay, I don't know if they were called number 2 pencils back then.
God, I wish we were living in those days because you get rich off of like the simplest shit.
I know, like, hey, dude, watch this. I want to make pencils. Nobody else makes pencils, and they need that to write. They're like, whoa, look at fucking Thoreau over there. Genius, right? And so his son's like, all right, you make pencils, I'll do philosophy. And so his dad had a huge estate because of the number 2 pencil business. And so he just kind of went to the backyard by the pond. But like if he ever got hungry, he could just go into back to the house and grab a bologna sandwich. He was fine.
I'm amused by Thoreau eating a bologna sandwich. Oh my God.
Anyway, all right, back to Marx.
So he did not have to go through military service, and it was for a legitimate reason. He had these health conditions, and they just referred to it as weak chest. So Marx evaded military service thanks to his weak chest, a vague diagnosis which was certainly exacerbated by his late night partying, and he was a party animal. He got in trouble with his dad quite a bit for being a party animal, bad diet, drinking, and chain smoking. Okay,
actually, Trump should have used that to get out of Vietnam because that dude's got a weak chest, man.
Thin skin?
Thin skin,
right?
That's a condition Donald Trump has.
Okay, you're gonna be amazed by this.
All right.
He was once in a literal duel. with a gun.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, so let me give you the details.
But wrong, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Marx
Just
attended.
ask Aaron Burr. Okay.
Marx attended the University of Bonn beginning in 1835, but most of his time seems to have been spent being drunk and disorderly. He joined a radical political group called the Poets Club.
Well, look, in my favorite movie, Dead Poets Society, was a club in the movie about dead poets. And so the Poets Club, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they got drunk there too.
They were the bad boys back in the day. The
Oh,
poets.
yeah.
And was co-president of a drinking society that antagonized the more aristocratic organizations on campus. So his involvement in the latter got him tossed in jail for 24 hours. He also ran afoul of the Borussian Corps, a militant group that forced college students to swear loyalty to the Prussian leadership. At the time, that was Germany, right?
Yes.
Prussia is now modern day Germany.
So he was the original Antifa, going into the aristocratic guys, saying you have to have loyalty to the dictatorship in charge, and he's like, I don't think so. I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah.
So okay.
So Marx carried a gun to defend himself, and once accepted a duel by one of these aristocratic individuals, which resulted in Marx being cut over his left eye.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was this close to dying in that duel.
Yeah.
What happened to the other guy? Do we know?
No idea. I don't read about him. I don't care.
I know, but I want to know.
I don't think he died.
Okay.
Wouldn't he be thrown in prison or something?
No, duels back in the day, I think, were legal. They were
That's
like,
true.
I thought they dueled to the death.
Oh, maybe he's dead. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you know this, but Brick killed a guy. That's from Anchorman.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I don't know what happened to the other guy. So
Look at Karl Marx, 187.
There's more. He did not attend his father's funeral.
Drums.
There was some tension, okay? So Marx's wild college years drove a wedge between him and his family, an indication of his intellectual rebellion from their bourgeois complacency. Marx refused to visit them once he began attending the University of Berlin. That's sad. That made me a little sad. But his family seemed to be pretty well off. In fact, his mother's family founded Philips Electronics.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
So Benjamin Phillips built a fortune selling tobacco. Benjamin's son, Lion, was married to Sophie Pressburg, an aunt of Karl Marx. Sophie's sister was Karl Marx's mother, Henriette Pressburg. Lion's son, Frederick Phillips, was a merchant banker who financed the setting up of the Phillips Lighting Company, which was run by his son, Gerard Phillips. So yeah, her side of the family was wonderfully wealthy. They did really well.
So let's keep it real. So his rich capitalist relatives probably financed his college education. I don't know if they had, and his lifestyle to some degree, because the dude's drinking like a fish, all right? And that, that's not free. I don't know. I'm now making a lot of suppositions.
Yeah,
but he's like, give me some of that Philips Electronics money. Let's do some Marxism up in here and see how it turns out.
Look, this is like in the early to mid 1800s, so I don't really know what society was like then, like in terms of like how much college cost and all of that. But
Marx is like, this tuition's killing me, man.
Yeah.
Let's get some Jill Stein up in here. Get some college debt forgiveness.
I doubt it worked out that way. But it's just interesting to read about who he was as a person, and these little tidbits stood out to me the most.
Well, look, they're all humans, right? And we read about them in history books, and we don't read their crazy personal lives, and we just deify them in a lot of ways. Gandhi was a wonderful person, but had some super weird habits, okay? Like, I believe, don't quote me on this, you can Google it, but he would sleep with young girls, not have sex with them. Literally sleep with them, but not do anything to test his willpower. So, and then I always thought like,
that's weird.
Why do you have to test your willpower, right? Like, why is that a test of your willpower?
I mean,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like so if you, I'm gonna just use a random person. I don't know, like if Joe Biden said that he was gonna sleep with underage girls, not have sex with them, but just sleep with them in his bed to test his willpower. It's like unacceptable.
Look, you know it doesn't make any sense. And again, I'm not positive, so please don't assume that it's definitely true. Look it up if you want. But if I just said, I mean, again, we could pick any random person, but like, if I was like, I'm gonna test my willpower, I'm gonna sleep with Bart and see what happens. Like, stay strong, Cenk. You'd be like, what? Right? You see my point?
I do, of course I see your point.
Okay. No offense, Bart. I mean, you would test my willpower, okay? But so you can say the same about me. Anyways, but he saved hundreds of millions of people's lives, and you know the stories about Benjamin Franklin going to France, and right, and I don't mean to pick just bad stuff, right? And but you know what? Look, that's the thing, man. Biden did say something that I think it was Biden that I do get a little bit, right? That oh no, it wasn't Biden, it was Van Jones actually, of all people. We're judging each other too harshly. Like, we gotta dial it back, man. And we've been saying that a long time. It's not like that's news to us, but we gotta find some sort of balancing act, because then you think about Martin Luther King, you know? He definitely cheated on his wife, and significantly so. And then so if you're gonna, okay, and did Martin Luther King use his power to sleep with those women? I don't know, right? Like, but I don't know. I don't know what the right standards are, but I do know that we are definitely all human.
Yeah, of course, we're human. I think that we're vulnerable to the same temptations as anyone. It is what it is. I don't really care about those like, oh, he cheated on his wife. Like, yeah, that sucks, but that's really none of my business, right? How does that impact me or society in general? I think that's what matters. But if something's done where it really does cause harm to someone who has a lower position of power or is vulnerable to being abused or exploited, that's a different situation, different story.
Now I'm thinking of all like the somber people in history and wondering like what their young Karl Marx like adventures were.
Yeah.
Like, did Lincoln get wasted? Was he ever brolit? Did I don't know? Did he hit on women? I guess he must have, right? But
I'm sure the hitting on women was like way more like accepted and public, and it was
I have
almost
no
expected.
idea what happened.
Yeah.
Or it might have been like way outside of decorum. I don't know. But I'm amused by the idea of Lincoln being like, "Yo, what's up? What's up? Hit me up, man. Text me. Come on."
let me slide into your DMs.
Remember when Trump said he's more popular than Abraham Lincoln? I have better poll numbers than Abraham Lincoln.
I think he said, I don't think he specifically said, did he say Abraham Lincoln, or did he just say, he specifically said Abraham? Because I remember like he just said of any president in history or something.
No, of course he said all of that, but he specifically said Abraham Lincoln. I mean, I've said it before, and I don't really have to say it, but I love saying it.
We should do that.
There was no polling back in Lincoln's time.
Right.
He's just unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And his followers are even crazier. It's amazing what you can get people to believe. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The only people who don't have cult-like following is us. You guys are all too rational.
Yeah, right? Totally.
And you should. You're always questioning and etc. And that's good. Maybe that's what partly because it's a self-selection process. We tell you to question us, so we got a bunch of people who watch the show who question us.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
Right.
I don't want to be surrounded by a cult.
Yeah.
I want to be like told when I get something wrong, you know?
I'm gonna ruin this, and I only touch on it for 2 minutes, and then we gotta go. Okay. But so last night I did a video on Venezuela and how Trump has came out apparently, according to the Washington Post, and said that he was misled by Bolton and he doesn't want to be militaristic in Venezuela. So this is right after the call with Putin. Now if you're in the camp of, hey, Cenk, you're over analyzing that, etc. Okay, fine, and the normal disagreement, okay? But people are like, no, it's no evidence at all that Trump changed his policy on Venezuela right after talking to Putin.
I mean, look, to say that there's no evidence at all is just inaccurate, right? So look, there's two camps that I think are wrong. There's one camp that's saying, no, definitely influenced by Russia, period, right? And then there's the camp that says, there's no evidence, no, he's definitely not influenced by Russia. You guys are both wrong.
Yeah.
First of all, we don't know for sure. We don't know anything for sure. But what we do know is that there's some evidence because it's following that call. And remember, just think about his rhetoric in regard to Venezuela prior to that call. Because it didn't seem, I mean, look, do I think Bolton pushes toward war? Of course, that's who Bolton is. But also, Trump, with his own rhetoric, kept saying things like, all options are on the table, okay? Military option is on the table. Like, he's the one who
Not only that, in 2017, he talked about bombing Venezuela and invading Venezuela. So that's what I was gonna get to. Look, if you say I'm overreaching because in one of the tweets I said it was direct evidence that, hey, here he is, talks to Putin, changes his position. Because the Michael Tracy's of the world told me, well, you have no evidence of him ever changing his position after talking to Putin. I do now. It happened right in front of your eyes. Now, if you say, hey, Cenk, it's overreaching to say direct evidence because you don't know for a fact what happened on the call. Okay, fine, all right, because I'm a reasonable person, I hear you. But if you say that's not any evidence, and then turn around and say, no, it's because Trump is actually really cares about peace, and Putin convinced them, and this is what
Trump cares about peace.
No, they believe this. They believe that's his philosophy. That's his philosophy. They say is, and look, some of you might be in that camp, and you're saying, well, I don't believe that. I hear you, brothers and sisters. Everybody's different. And there's a whole range, and I don't want to. Yeah, and I don't want to put everybody in a certain box or a certain corner, etc. I'm not talking about any one specific person, but in a lot of the Twitter things, there were like, no, Trump is anti-interventionist and is philosophically in favor of more peaceful solutions, and I'm like, and another person's like, no, maybe Putin just convinced him in the call that Bolton is wrong.
But what about
like Trump had an intellectual conversation with Putin, was like, oh right, you know what, I hadn't considered that. That's a good point. Like these things are.
What is going on? So okay, if you are in the camp that's making the argument that Trump is anti-interventionist and wants more peace, then why did he veto a bipartisan resolution to get the United States out of the conflict in Yemen?
Why did he authorize the coup in Venezuela in the first place? Why is he agitating for war with Iran right now?
Yes, why did he rip up the Iran nuclear deal?
So it's fair to say there's evidence on a couple of different sides, and how we weigh the evidence might be based on our opinions, personalities, etc. But like, I'm worried that people have gotten into a corner where they're like, no, this is part of my core identity now. So I will now ignore all evidence to the contrary.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm begging you gotta keep an open mind. I believe I'm keeping a total open mind. I've said in all those discussions, debates, etc. It's interesting that we did arm the Ukrainians, which Obama wouldn't even do. That's a good point, right? So there's points on both sides, and try to have an honest, open dialogue about it. But when people are telling me that Trump is having an intellectual conversation with Putin, and Putin convinces him to go back towards peace, and Trump believes that, and that's why he made that decision. On which planet? On which planet? Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But anyway, that's the reality of today. Okay. All right, so I told you I was gonna ruin it. Sorry to ruin a fun Karl Marx, Dave Rubin postgame. But
I don't think you ruined it.
Okay.
I saw your tweets last night, and I was like, oh God.
No, look, I partly got triggered, okay? And I'll be triggered again.
Don't get triggered.
No, and I'll tell you why. My pet peeve, I almost talked about this on Old School, because it is an old school type topic, divorced from the politics of that particular issue. My pet peeve is irrationality, and people insisting on things that cannot logically be true. You'll trigger me. I can't help it. That's my weak chest. Right?
Well, look, if you're right about Russia's influence on, or Putin's influence on Trump, in the case of Venezuela, it would be a good thing.
Oh, we totally agree to that. And I've said it in every video and try to give that context in the tweets. I'm thrilled that Putin talked him out of it. talked him out of it.
Yeah, I mean, just wait, hold.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact of what happened. Trump comes out of the call with Putin and says, Russia's not interfering in Venezuela at all. I don't want to interfere I don't want the US to interfere in Venezuela, but Russia not interfering in Venezuela is mental and not remotely true. And that all that Putin has done is things that are positive in Venezuela. And you tell me that that is not at all any evidence that Trump is taking orders from Putin. And then he turns around and says, yeah, well, you know what, coup, intervention against Russia. I was giving people credit. I'm like, look, that is against Russia's interests. Open mind, right?
That, yep.
Now when it turns around and he says no more, that is not evidence? No, that's too irrational. It's I can't abide by it.
So maybe we need a larger sample size and maybe we wait and see what happens with Iran, because Trump is still provoking Iran and is still trying to engage in some sort of conflict. Russia does not want that.
They will not accept it, I guarantee you. And that's why I say things ahead of time, guys. In those debates and discussions, I said, Trump is literally too stupid to understand what side Russia is on. Putin has to literally call him and tell him, I said that. And I remember Michael Tracy flipping out. How could you possibly say that? That's an outrageous thing to say. Nobody's that stupid. And then he gets a call from Putin, changes his position on Venezuela.
Yeah.
It happened just like I said it would.
Okay.
But just to finish the point, the same exact thing could happen in Iran. Putin can call Trump, and Trump can reverse his position on Iran, and I guarantee you, not all, some, but probably a lot in that camp will go, nope, no evidence. No evidence at all. Nope.
I know.
I never see any evidence.
You're right. But I just want you to get like an outsider's perspective on this whole thing with you and Michael Tracy, right? I literally can't think of anyone on the planet who I care about less than Michael Tracy.
No, and
I'm talking about his opinion, not him as a person, right? So like, I don't care. Okay, so he thinks that Russia has nothing to do with it. Like, why?
But
why
look,
let him get under your skin so much?
And Michael's a smart guy. And he's an interesting guy. He's an interesting thinker. He's a smart guy. And so that's why I think that maybe it bothers me more, because I respect a lot of these folks. And
look,
so
and here's who unfortunately gets coupled into, or not coupled, but gets considered part of that camp, right? Like Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald is a completely different category, if you ask me, because like the debate or interview you had with him, that was freaking phenomenal. I loved it. He made great points. I respect him. I think that he's one of these people who actually comes with the receipts to back up what he's saying. And I felt like I learned a lot from that conversation. But
there's something about this issue that is intoxicating. And I bet you if you ask Glenn about Venezuela, he would say, nope, no evidence, nope. And all these guys that I respect, I don't even want to ask Kyle Kulinski, because I love Kyle. I don't want to ask him about Venezuela, because if he tells me that's no evidence at all, I'm gonna, it's too painful. It's too painful.
Yeah, I get it.
So, and guys, I'm not saying it's dispositive, and I'm not saying you have to believe what I believe, but you got to keep an open mind when evidence comes against your position. I mean, look, I used to be a Republican, and I became what is considered radical left in the country. How? A real progressive fighter. How? I kept an open mind. Facts matter. Receipts matter. The earth did get warmer. Al Gore was right, right? And I can go on and on. So anyway, let's leave it at that. All right, much love. We'll see you guys tomorrow.